another adventure. I'm in a rather steep hill going up to the back of the Munro Mountains, Dresham Mayor, to the Backwater Dam. It's known locally, a large man-made hill lock, and we're going trout fishing. I've not actually got my fishing gear with me yet. I'm just coming down for a look. And I've got the wind blowing from left to right, and very slightly in my face. And I'm just curious to know how strong the wind is as to how easy it's going to be to fish. What a glorious September day. Fireweed out. Looks like somebody's been lighting fires here. Water's down a little bit, which makes it slightly easier to fish. They always tell you to fish with the wind in your face, because any food, insects that are blown onto the water are blown towards you. And that can be advantageous should I say. I'm not seeing any fish rising, which is rather disturbing. We'll give it a go. I'll go and get the rods. What we have is a bewildering selection of bits of fluff. Known as wet flies. And what I'm intending to do is begin with a wet fly, because when I walk down I didn't see any fish rising, but I have the rod and line set up in such a manner that if I want to swim over to dry fly fishing, I can do that very, very quickly and easily while swapping the flies. Some funny noises going on in the background. We're on the move again. There's an angler down there. His car was here when I moved further up towards the top of the water. And the fact that it's still here and he's not moving around all over the place like I am gives me some sort of straws to clutch at that maybe there's a few fish about. Because whilst I've seen one or two move, I've not managed to rise a fly to a dry fly, and I've not had a pull on a wet fly either. It's proper doer. Nice day, but just very cold water when you're standing in it. I think all the rainwater's probably put the fish down a bit. They're just not adjusted to the sudden temperature change. Gone from a bit of summer to autumn in the space of a couple of days. I'll have a little wander up there a bit, well away from where the other angler is for now. I'll perhaps wander down and have a chat with him later and see how he's doing. In the normal way, late August, early September, when the heather flies and daddy longlegs are on the water, you just look for feeding fish and then cast to them. Just not around. It tells me I've got a fish wet fly, not dry fly, but where? That's the $1 million question. Where? Beginning the cast. Well, I'm taking some line off the reel. Drop the fly no more than 15-20 feet from the bank, and a fish just came up and went for it. And of course I'm looking somewhere else and not paying attention, because the last thing I expected was a fish to have a go that close to the bank. I don't suppose for a moment it'll come back for a second go. But it just shows you that old adage. The first thing that goes into the water, however you're fishing, should always be the hook, the bait, not your feet. Don't go paddling into the water and frighten away fish that are very close to the shore. Had I dived into the water and waded out like to where I expect to end up fishing, I wouldn't have seen that fish. I wouldn't have had that opportunity. I made a mess of it, but that's beside the point. The fish was there. It proved the point. This is typical of these Scottish glens in the mountains. I went on the far side, had the wind in my face, so I came over to this side and I've still got the wind in my face. Although on this spot it's just coming over my right shoulder, which does help with casting. Many a gamekeeper tell you when they're out stalking quarry, deer, grouse, whatever, you try to get the wind on your face so that the quarry can't smell you or hear you coming, and the wind goes around in circles. There's another fish, look. Didn't take the fly. It's very close to it, so it took something else, not my fly. And we've got it. God bless you. A tiny little wild brown trout. Tiny little being the operative word. They're handsome little trout, these fish up here. Never been stocked. These are all totally wild fish. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Handsome. Thank you, young trout. Saved my day. I can go home now with my head held high. I am the big hunter-gatherer, even though it was too small to bring home for tea. Smash in. It's a spirited fight. It's no bigger. Well, it might be a little bit bigger. Yes, perhaps a little bit bigger. Beautiful spotted fish. Oops. Come here. Slip out my fingers. So you wet your hands so you don't harm the fish. Makes your hands a bit slippery. And he's gone. Oh, that was satisfying. Not so much for the fact that I actually caught it, but that it rose in front of me. I covered it with a cast, and the fish took the fly. A bibio fly, for those anglers who are interested. There are a few heather flies about, not many. They're pretty much finished, I think. That fly has caught me a huge amount of trout out of this water over the years. And it's doing the business today. Perhaps that raven's brought me some luck. Oh, now. Apart from that little spell where we had rising fish and taking fish for probably less than an hour, it's as if someone's thrown a switch and they've all gone again. Not a sign of a fish rising. No takes either. experienced that before with trout. So maybe that's it for this trip. Short and sweet. At least we caught some fish. Quite enjoyable. The evening is beginning to set in. There doesn't seem to be a rise of insects. The young angler who was fishing on the same bank as me has vanished. He came and had a chat. He'd had a couple of 3 fish as well, the same as me. There was a chap on the far bank. Can't see him. So I think he's gone home. I say him, it's usually men that fish up here. I have fished the waters and lady anglers have been at present, but I don't think I've ever seen any up here. Sure there have been. The wind's dropping. The waves dropped. A gentle ripple now. So if there are any fish rising, I should both see and hear them comfortably. I'm not seeing or hearing a thing. And we just have to write it off to experience as a do a day. And we're thankful that we actually caught something. We hooked a couple and lost them as well, so we had a bit of entertainment, a little bit of sport. I think trout fishing is coming to an end for this season, I think. The next trip might be back on the river and see if we can find some grayling, or maybe even have a go for a main run salmon. Might have a day on the river. That'd be a nice sort of end to the season. Something to look forward to going into the winter. There'll be a bit of grayling fishing if the river's right. And I still enjoy doing a bit of cod fishing in the sea. So, you might find me on a harbour wall next. And my days of hopping around on the rocky shores and out on the skerries, chasing the tide in and out, are behind me now. I'm now starting to look for places to fish that are more comfortable. The days of finding spots that were good for fishing, but you have to be part mountain goat to fish them. Those days are gone. That's a young man's game. I think that's going to be it. Even the ravens cleared off. And there's not a sign of a fish anywhere, as if there's nothing in there. Oh well, here's to another day. Hope you enjoyed our little visit to the Big Loch.